Well, hello, this is Greg DeVilbus, and I'm excited to do the first ever Cult of SEO Google Hangout. I thought tonight what we would do is just kind of do an overview of what this group is going to be about. Basically, I'm just going to tell you and teach you the things that I've learned over the last 3 years on getting websites ranked, whether it's a local website or whether it's a local marketing or a local brick and mortar business. There's some subtle differences between the two different types of SEO, but we'll also get into some social media and some other things as well. So the first thing that I thought I would do is just tell you a little bit about myself. I created a PowerPoint presentation just to be able to keep myself on track, and certainly you can join in the chat box on the side over here to the right. If you're watching this later, then certainly you can message me with any questions that you have. Ultimately, we're going to get into the nitty-gritty details of each of the steps that I take to get the sites ranked and to get more customers for local businesses as well. But tonight we're just going to kind of go over a general overview. So here we go. I'm going to share my screen right now. Okay, here we go. The Cult of SEO. This was formed as a result of some work I was doing with Jesse Elder, who's one of my mentors. Keith Ward had actually coined the name the Cult of SEO, and I just really thought it was just fantastic, and so that's where that's come from. A little bit about myself. I started out in life in sales. I've had really from some small businesses to some larger businesses. The last actual company that I worked for, other than myself, was a managed care company. I had a national territory that covered the lower 48. Called on mostly Fortune 50 companies. They called me the national national marketing manager for national sales, and I called on companies like Walmart and Edward Jones Investments, MedCap Heart Hospitals in North Carolina, Best Buy, pretty large companies, in addition to calling on all the big insurance companies and the like. And about, I'm going to say, about 2000, my father asked me to come and work with him in a real estate business. He had gotten thyroid cancer and really wanted to share his knowledge of what he was doing and have my brother and myself come and learn the family business. So since 2001, I've been a real estate developer specializing in mostly shopping centers. We've had some office properties as well, and then certainly land. All the land that we've had the opportunity to build on. We're sitting on quite a bit. But the way that I got into SEO is this. In 2007, 2008, even though I'm in commercial real estate, the economy hit it as well. And so we invested in this software company called Savvy Accountability. Savvy was designed to help people with online addictions, from pornography addictions to gambling to spending too much money on eBay or whatever it is that they happen to do, or spending too much time on Facebook, whatever it was. And as a part of that process, I was the chief operating officer, and one of my roles in that company was making sure that the marketing was going well. We hired a consultant by the name of Ted Finch, and Ted specialized in channel marketing, looking at new product distribution, product launches, and those kinds of things. And he had a module in his system on SEO, and it was given to me to work on that aspect. And so for 9 months, I spent learning SEO from a hands-on standpoint, following some methodology that he had taught me. And over the course of that 9 months, it was really a painstakingly slow, tedious effort. I was able to get our site ranked in Google internationally for our keywords on the first page of Google without any problem. Now, I'm not saying it's going to take you 9 months to get your site ranked because it's not. What took me so long was just really understanding the concept. The other thing is that things changed constantly. So as I was learning, SEO, I find out that Google had changed the algorithms, and now what was right, 6 months ago is now wrong. And so to be able to stay on top of that, I started to work with some mentors to really understand what is currently happening. Now, after a period of time of having these rankings, the competition took notice of us, and ultimately we were purchased. And at that point in time, I came back to my real estate office over here in Lawrence, Kansas, Rock Chalk Jayhawk, and just continued on in real estate. The job I do, for our company is I'm our real estate broker. I handle the leases, those kinds of things. The other part, it was owning the software company and then ultimately selling it, and then certainly was inspired to get involved in local marketing and SEO. And the way that happened was I was actually sitting in my office, and a friend of mine who'd been a service provider for us in an HVAC business came in and said that he'd been laid off from his company, and it was starting out on his own, and he handed me his business card, and I said, "Do you have a website?" And he said, "Yeah, I've got one." And I went and looked at it, and what it was a GoDaddy placeholder, single-page website. And I said, "Man, you're just not going to be able to get anywhere with this." And he goes, "Yeah, I know, but I just don't really know what to do." And I said, "Well, let me help you, and we'll see what we can do." And so I started in web design at that point, just by accident. So I built him a website. Then I started utilizing the things I learned in SEO for the savvy accountability. And what I found is that I got him ranked really, really quickly, and thought, hey, this really has the opportunity to be a business. And so I started working on creating systems and processes so that I could know from wherever a business was that what the steps would be to get them to where they needed to go. And it was just a matter of, I spent about a year working on that, getting a few clients here and there, and getting them ranked, and finding out what really, really works. And also continuing on to studying, virtually, every single day. I have a variety of different courses that I've taken. I read every day, and I pay attention to what Google is doing, Matt Cutts, and the whole business. Now, in the things that we're going to talk about over the course of the next, however long it is, I'm thinking maybe getting together twice a month. We're going to talk about two main subjects, and that's going to be on-page SEO and off-page SEO. The on-page SEO is going to be actually what's done on your website. Now, I primarily work within WordPress, although these principles work with any, you can be using Drupal or whatever it is that your CMS is, and it doesn't really make a difference. Now, some of these techniques and tools are going to be dependent upon whether you have back-end access to your website or not. If you're having a website designer work on your project and you don't have the access to the back end of it, then you're going to want to focus more on the off-page SEO, which we'll get to. And we're going to go through step by step the processes that I have over the next period of time that you guys are part of this conversation. The first thing about on-page SEO is that's going to be what's happening on your website. The first thing you need to really look at is how is the site going to be structured. Now, part of that is going to take into consideration the keywords that you're going after, and we'll get into real depth over how to research those keywords and make sure that they're keywords that are generating traffic for you. But more importantly than that is making sure that the site's set up properly, that you have the right headers, the right tags, the right linking and interlinking strategy within the site that makes it easy for Google to know what your website is about. And that doesn't really make it doesn't really make a difference whether you're a local business, whether you're a service provider, or whether you're an internet marketer and you're strictly selling an online product. The other thing that many people forget about is outbound links and what the benefit is for that. And so we're going to cover those things and a lot more. These are just a few ideas that I came up with this afternoon to kind of get us started in a discussion. In a few minutes, I'll stop sharing the screen and we can start having the discussion that we talked about, because I need to find out a little bit more about each one of your businesses to know what direction this conversation needs to go. So the off-page SEO is all the other things. So that's going to be the video marketing, the putting up YouTube videos and Vimeo and a variety of things that are going to point back to your website, providing information and value, kind of like what I'm doing today, back to your website, so that you're constantly providing valuable content. Now, some of that content is going to be through a blog on your site, and if you don't have a blog, then you certainly should have one, because you can give your clients and patients and customers new information, and it also helps keep you in the mind of Google. Now certainly Bing and Yahoo are important, but if we take care of Google, then the Bing and the Yahoo are going to follow. And there's things that we can do to optimize for those search engines and others. The other thing is the Web 2.0 properties, and that's going to be things like Blogger and YouTube actually could be considered a Web 2.0, or a variety of different kind of blog sites that we'll take and post articles on, have those point back to the main site to create more positive links that are relevant to whatever it is the topic that you're trying to rank for. Certainly, social media is a powerful tool, and you should have a real strategy for Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, Facebook, of course, and any of the other social media outlets that are out there. And we'll get into those strategies as well. One of the most important things in terms of social media is trying to get engagement, getting people to respond to you and interact with the things that you're doing to promote your business. And then, of course, there's getting backlinks. And the most important thing about backlinks is that you make sure that any backlink that you get is relevant to your website and has some authority. Now, it used to be that people would just they would get essentially spam backlinks, and they might get 1,000 Chinese backlinks that had no relevance to your website at all. And what would happen after some Google updates, Google would discover those bad backlinks and penalize you for it. And so you're sitting on the first page of Google, and then all of a sudden you're now on page 40 or something because you've been Google slapped, and that's something that you don't want to do. There's a variety of different types of SEO that's out there. I mean, typically in the industry you'll hear about white hat SEOs or gray hat or black hat. And none of them are particularly bad or evil, even if it's called black hat. The difference is how much risk are you willing to take to be able to get potentially slapped. And so I tend to stay in the white hat arena, maybe bridging over into the gray hat, although I don't have any problem at all with black hat techniques. It's just a matter of, I don't want to see any site that I have penalized. And so that's really why I don't do any kind of spammy, kinds of things, which Google frowns on. Now, within SEO, you've got traditional SEO, which would be taking a site and ranking for your keywords on like an internet marketing project where you don't have a localized company. You're more of a virtual company, and the strategies for that are really the foundations that we just talked about. When you get into local SEO, there's a whole other set of techniques to be able to get your business in the local area that you're serving ranked for the searches that are happening in your area. So, for instance, if you happen to be based in Lawrence, Kansas, where I'm based out of, and I'm trying to work with a company to sell pizza, it's not going to really help me to rank for pizza in New Jersey. And so, so what we want to do is have that local search arena point directly to whatever it is that you happen to be providing to the marketplace. And so we're going to get into those kind of discussions as well. So the next step really is we're going to start a conversation. You've joined the group. You can post questions in the group, and I'll do my best to respond. And then we're going to get together periodically. I'm thinking about once every 2 weeks or maybe twice a month, and just go over one specific segment of that strategy that I've got, starting from the foundation, which would be the site architecture. Now, I'm assuming you already have a website. If you don't, then we can talk privately about that and get some help for you to get your site up. I'm certainly willing to talk to you about any subject. I'll share with you what information I have and do my best to help you get the rankings and the traffic and the clients and customers and patients or whatever it is that you're trying to do, into your business. And so that's really about it. I'm going to stop sharing my screen now and come back, assuming this will stop. Sharing here. Let me get back over here. And so let me see if you have any questions. Oh, just from a format standpoint, Google Hangouts does a couple different things. You can actually join the Hangout, which would be part of the live call. There's roughly, I think, 10 people can participate in that, where you would be able to interact directly with anybody that's in the group and part of the discussion. Second to that, you can actually watch the video on YouTube, and so if there's more than 10 people, then there can be, I think, up to 100 or so that can participate in watching the video. And then also the recording will be posted on my blog and then also on YouTube as well. And certainly within any of the comments, you can ask questions there. So let's see here. Well, the main thing is that if you've got a local business, you need to make sure that you're geotagged in specific things. We're going to look at the effect of Google Maps and the way that works in targeting your business. Also looking at the concept of citations and local business directories. The business directories are going to be really important for the local brick and mortar businesses as well. But we'll talk about that when we get to that point of the off-page SEO. First thing is I want to make sure that everybody's structurally sound in terms of their websites. So let me see. Well, on a non-brick and mortar business, it's a lot more challenging to get the rankings. And so what happens there is you're really going to be relying on really good, high quality, not necessarily high PR backlinking strategy, but certainly high authority. Now, PR kind of comes in and out of fashion in terms of when Google updates their PR rankings. And so what you're really looking for are websites that are authoritative, that relate to the niche that you're in, and can help boost that. And so we'll look at a variety of different strategies there, but it takes longer to rank a site internationally or globally generally than it does a local business. A local business, some things like, a Google video, we can get it ranked, probably in a couple days, to 3 or 4 days or something like that, or the most a week. But if you're trying to rank for something, kind of globally, that you're trying to sell, like say for instance a weight loss product or something, then that's going to be really competitive, and it's going to be a matter of you creating an authority site that has good content, and then it's also going to be a matter of the backlinking strategy that you have and having those good high PR or high authority relevant links coming to your site to help support that. Well, local businesses can benefit a great deal from a press release campaign as well as the traditional SEO products. But in local marketing, press releases can be particularly powerful in getting your sites ranked, as well as making sure that you're participating on Google+. I know a lot of people don't use Google+ as their first line of defense, but things rank really quickly with any property within Google that they own. So for instance, they own Panoramio and a variety of different things. YouTube certainly. Any product that Google owns that you're using to help you rank your website is going to help that site. So that's really important. So, well, let's see here. I think for now, that was about all I had, for the evening. I think what we'll do is 2 weeks from tonight, we'll probably meet at the same time. I might get into the group a little bit and find out what times work best for people, and see if a daytime time works, and maybe we can rotate a little bit if people can't make certain times. And so the most important thing is feel free to ask any question. I would like to know what type of business that you have, what types of clients that you're seeking, in other words, what's your ideal client, and then also whether or not you have access to the back end of your website or not, because that'll kind of steer the direction of the conversation. In the future dates, we'll probably open up the call to any questions that anybody has, and just put you on air if you don't mind. If you want to stay off air, then certainly we can work through chats, and certainly I can respond to questions on the videos through either the YouTube comments or through the Facebook group. And so if you've got friends that you think would be interested in knowing a little bit more about SEO and the cult of SEO, and join a group of people who are trying to get more customers and more profit for themselves, then certainly invite them to the group. I'll accept them just readily based on your recommendation, and so we'll just have some fun. So anyway, have a great evening, and we'll talk to you later. Thanks. Bye.